On this week's Hockey Inside Out, is Montreal going cuckoo for Kotkaniemi? And that's cuckoo with 2 Ks, by the way. Okay, I made that up. So if that becomes a thing, you heard it here first. Welcome to this week's edition of Hockey Inside Out. Adam Susser is my name. Stu Cowan over there. CBC Daybreak's Jessica Rusnak. And Mr. Chris Nyland right here. Let's start the show. When the puck hit the ice during the Canadiens season opener last Wednesday in Toronto, Jesperi Kotkaniemi became the first player born in the new millennium to play in any North American professional sports league, which is a very impressive statistic. What's also been very impressive is how well he's played in those games. He has not looked out of place despite being only 18. What has impressed you most about Jesperi Kotkaniemi during his first 2 games with the Canadiens so far?
The fact he's 18 and the way he's handled all this. I mean, I have a 17-year-old son at home, and I can't imagine, he's only like 6 months younger than Kotkaniemi, and I can't imagine a kid that age being thrown into everything that comes with being with the Montreal Canadiens. But he's handled it all excellent. I mean, even on the ice, he has not looked out of place at all. He's got hockey smarts. He knows his position. Playing center, arguably the toughest position in the NHL to learn, and he's looked well. He's played well. He's been averaging like 14 minutes a game, +1 after his first 2 games. He got a point, and he looks good.
And he doesn't seem intimidated by the opposition either. And the first 2 games, they weren't easy people that they were facing. You have Toronto with Austin Matthews, John Tavares, and then you go to Pittsburgh and you've got all the big names there as well. That he seemed cool, that he was able to play his game and not sort of overthink it, and he just focused on what he had to do, and that's a really good sign from the beginning, facing tough opponents and to keep your composure.
Yeah, I think his abilities certainly surprised me at this level so quick. You know, I thought it might take a little bit more time, but when I think back of where he's been, his dad's a coach, right? Mm-hmm. He played on a pro team over there, so he's been brought up in that hockey culture, and he understands it. Sure, there's an adjustment coming over here, but no matter where you are, hockey is hockey. Over there or over here, you're around that team atmosphere. You're guided. They steer you in the right direction. The coaches, players. He come over here, and for me, the maturity level of this kid is it's amazing to see him right now, and it's going to be fun to watch him continue to grow.
The word I keep thinking about is rangy. He's rangy. He covers a lot of ice. I mean, there was concerns about his skating, but he gets where he needs to be quick. He's got a good stick. He uses a really long stick for a centerman. He's just rangy. He's around, and it's interesting. His mother came to Montreal. His mother's going to live with him for the next little while.
His mother, I bet, is my age.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing for a kid adjusting living by himself in Montreal. He's been staying at a hotel near the Canadiens' Brossard practice facility. He was telling me yesterday he's going to start looking to try and find a place, similar to what they did with Victor Mete last year when his mom came in, just to adjust everything. He said he was looking forward to eating some of his mom's pasta.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to make it past the 9th game and stay on the Canadiens?
Well, as of right now, I think everything's pointing that he will stay. However, it could get a little bit more difficult, but I don't think he's going to start going downwards. I think if anything, he's going to start to go upwards, and it's probably a good idea to keep him.
Well, he learns quick. I mean, even the first game, he really struggled in the face-off circle against Toronto. He was like 40% or something, and then against Pittsburgh, he won like 67%. So the kid, he learns quick.
Mm-hmm. I got a feeling he may stay. You know, I remember when Sergachev was here, they were leaning toward keeping him, and it was pretty close. We know what happened with the trade, but it depends, I think, on what he does in these next few games and see how he handles it, how the team does in these next few games. And I'm leaning toward, I think they may keep him because this team is looking pretty good. Right?
As you mentioned, especially the team, if the team's winning. I think if the team was losing, you wouldn't want the kid around that atmosphere. The fact that if they keep winning, I think it's a good atmosphere for the kid to be in.
Well, I can't recall having the Canadiens having a player who's so young and so impressive. Every time I hear people talk about him, it's just he keeps getting better and better, and there's more confidence. Just hearing you guys talk about him, it's like your confidence that you have in him every week is...
he's an intelligent kid, and when you talk to him, you got to realize his English still isn't great. I mean, he's not speaking in his first language.
Just wait until he misses an open net.
I like the word he used to describe the season opener against Toronto. He felt it was going to be spicy. I haven't heard a player use that to describe a hockey game before.
Have you noticed a difference in Carey Price's play so far this season?
To me, it looks like the old Carey Price. I hear people talking, oh, his technique is so, this and that. Listen, he's pretty natural at that position, obviously, but for me, it was all between the ears. I noticed that he is so much more focused than he was last year. There's a big difference. You saw that body language last year. He was out of it. Something was bothering him. And this year, it seemed like he's the old Carey Price. He's focused. He's ready to go. Good on him.
That's what I was going to say. His body language, to me, is the biggest thing, that he just comes in, he seems a lot more relaxed dealing with the media, like where compared to last year, you could tell there was something bothering him. Whereas now he's kind of just, going with the flow. He's happy with the situation they are in. But again, when you're winning, things are a little bit easier. But you just see almost like he just seems lighter, that he might have had something, really heavily weighing on his shoulders, and now this year that's gone.
He's edgy. He was edgy last year. Like, he would be snarky sometimes in media scrums and that, and that wasn't really Carey Price. Like, he's Mr. Cool, and he seems to be back to that now. He seems to be more calm. It's only 2 games into the season, but he seems much more calm and relaxed. You said lighter. He's physically lighter.
Yes, that too.
And I think that going forward will be important. He's a large man. When you see Carey Price, he's a big man. He's not. Most goalies are built like Gumby almost, right? They're so flexible. It's a lot of weight going down every time he would hit the ice and going down in the butterfly. So I think the fact that he's leaner will make him quicker, and I think it might also limit the chance or reduce the chance of injuries moving forward, just without all that weight hitting the ice so constantly on the butterfly.
You guys have any ideas what was bothering him? You want to spin some rumors? No?
No.
He just wasn't himself last year, on and off the ice, it seemed.
Jonathan Drouin has been unimpressive in his first 2 games so far this year. He has 0 points. He's a -1. Is it something that you think Canadian fans should be worried about?
It's only been 2 games. It's like, they got 3 out of 4 points. Everybody's happy. Things are great. They're going to go undefeated the rest of the way. Drouin is not going to score a point the rest. Listen, for me with Jonathan Drouin, it's some of the things he does on the ice, some of the lazy changes, some of the 1-on-3s trying to beat everybody. Those things are not conducive to success in a player or a team. And I think the quicker he gets on the same page as everyone else and buys in, the better off he'll be and the better off the team will be. But he certainly looks like he's not on the same page.
I was concerned the last preseason game in Ottawa, when one of the goals he looked like he gave up on the back check, and I noted at the time, okay, it's preseason, but he better not be doing that in the regular season. And I think he's just got to lift that work ethic a bit more and be more dedicated on the defense. In his defense, he told me that when he didn't know he was going to be playing wing until he showed up at training camp. All his offseason workouts, he focused on face-offs and working on being a centerman. Then he showed up at camp and they told him he was going to be on the wing, which is more his natural position. But I think it was maybe a state of mind thing too. He maybe was a little bit surprised. It takes away a lot of the defensive responsibilities from him playing wing, but he's still got.
He should flourish.
Well, he should. I mean,
he come in and we'll go on the wing now and not be center. He should flourish. He should be grateful that he's not at center ice and then do something with it. I go back to thinking Kyle Osner last year, talking about playing zone defense as opposed to man-on-man. It took him so much time. If he couldn't figure that out at this point in his career, how to play zone defense, because he played man-on-man, it just baffles me. So I hear excuses in those things,
Well, if it doesn't work for Joey, he doesn't have an excuse now that he is back on the wing. I think one of the things he's got to stop trying those sort of midget AAA moves all the time, trying to dipsy doodle that don't work in the NHL, and then he coughs it up. And if he does cough it up, he's got to bust his butt coming back. So, as you say, it's 2 games. We'll see what goes on. He's playing with some good players. He's playing in his natural position. He's obviously a talented kid. I mean, you can't deny the talent this kid has, but talent and hard work need to go together, right?
Carl Alsner and Thomas Plekanec have been healthy scratches so far this season. This broke Alsner's 622 consecutive regular season game streak, which is kind of sad. Plekanec is just old, so that's not as sad. Were you surprised that these players were healthy scratches for the first 2 games of the season?
Not so much. I think it's the fact that there's a lot of young bodies here. The league is going younger. It's getting faster. I was maybe a little surprised at Alsner. But I think because I think he played better than Ben in the preseason, to be honest. I saw some improvement there from what I saw last year, but I think they went off more on what happened last year with this kid. And they wanted to send him a message. I don't have a problem with it. And then, of course, Plekanec, at first I thought they're going to sit him out and then play him at home to get his 1,000th game. The fact of the matter is they were probably thinking, well, we lose these 2 games on the road, then he'll play at home. It'll get his 1,000th game. But then they went out and got 3 out of 4 points and ruined it. So they're just going to have to wait.
They have to reschedule that.
So I'm not really surprised.
Well, Kotkaniemi played a role in Plekanec being scratched because they didn't expect Kotkaniemi to be starting the season here, and that now Plekanec becomes the 5th center. With Alzner, it's a little surprised, but in a good way, because it's Marc Bergevin admitting that maybe he made a mistake giving Alzner that contract. I mean, when you're sitting a guy that you give that much money to, over $20 million, and you're making him a healthy scratch, you're basically saying, I screwed up.
Yeah.
And part of being a good GM is admitting when you did screw up. I did the math, and if you don't include Jeff Petrie, the other 5 defensemen that are starting with the Canadiens combined earn less than Carl Alzner. So in that way, the cap, what they're paying Alzner doesn't hurt as much because they have other guys that are making a lot less. But it's Marc Bergevin and Claude, to make that, I applaud Marc Bergevin because it couldn't have been easy for him to admit that signing this guy was probably
It's not like
a mistake.
he's admitting it, though. I mean, because they sat him out. It's not like he can't come out and say, "Oh, I made a mistake."
Well, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good when you got a guy making.
I made a mistake.
I mean, the way his contract breaks down, he's making $6 million this year. The way his contract, he's like a $4.65 million cap hit, but he's actually earning $6 million. That's a lot of money to sit up in the press box.
But I'm not too surprised by it because I remember the first day when the players came in for their medicals, Carl Alzner was one of the players available, and he said, "This year I need to be better, and I'm going to be better." And throughout the preseason, I haven't seen that much improvement from Carl Alzner. So I think if the Canadiens want this new philosophy that they're trying to get everyone to buy into, then they have to use these guys as examples that it's not just, what you're making or how many years you've been playing the league. If you're not bringing it every single night, then you're going to be up in the press box.
Well, internal competition is good. Talking with Jordy Ben after practice the other day, I said, did you feel like your job was on the line at training camp? He said, I feel like that every training camp, and most of the guys do. There's the odd superstar or 5 or 6 guys that are going to be there. And he said, the kids that are coming up today can play. There's a lot of kids who can play. So he says, yeah, your job's on the line all the time. And the competition, as Knuckles said, was sort of between him and Ben as to who was going to be the 6th defenseman, because Xavier Ouellet seems to have earned a spot. And so it's we'll see what happens going forward. As Marc Bergevin, like I say, you can never have too many defensemen, so there'll be injuries and Alzner will get back in. But to start the season, I think they sent a strong message by sitting him in the press box.
He has to be consistent with it now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If other players, we mentioned Jonathan Drouin earlier, if he doesn't pick it up, you want to send a message, there's a pretty loud message to send if you were to sit a guy like that for a game.
And how much of the decision is Marc Bergevin's as opposed to Claude Julien's to bench?
I think it's the coach's decision. He's put there to play who he thinks he should play. And listen, they talk about it. Let's not kid ourselves, but I think it's ultimately up to Claude.
Yeah, and you got to remember too, Claude was sitting unemployed when Marc called him and offered him $20 million. So I'm sure he's going to go along sort of what his GM wants to do.
Yeah. Okay, after suffering a cardiac episode, Jacob de la Rose is practicing with the team again. Nicolas Deslauriers might return as early as next week. Who do you foresee these 2 players replacing on the team?
I don't think they're necessarily guaranteed their spot when they're healthy. Especially Jacob de la Rose, he was kind of one of those bubble guys, and Nick Deslauriers to a certain point. But if the team's playing well, you just can't insert them into the lineup at that point. The only way would be, if you're trying to send a message or if a player gets hurt. But I would not say that these 2 guys are automatically back into the lineup.
I agree with de la Rose. I don't think he's automatically back in, but I think Deslauriers will be. I think they need that sort of physical play that he brings. And if I was Charles Hudon, I might be a little worried. Talk about Charles Hudon, he gets lots of scoring chances, but he can't finish. Mm-hmm. And you can wonder, he's there to produce and score, and if he's not, I wonder if he might be a guy sort of on the edge. And I think whoever does come back, you have to think Nikita Scherbak ends up going back to Laval.
He could be on the edge, Hudon, but still he's part of that overall team speed. Not that Deslauriers is slow. No, he's not. He can keep up out there, but I think that it's going to depend on who they're playing when we'll see Deslauriers back in the lineup. If it's a bigger team, tougher team, I think he'll get back in. But teams with good speed, maybe not so much. So they're going to have to wait, I think.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to sit Andrew Shaw. Matthew Pekka was brought here to be that fourth line center, and that's the role he fills. So it'll be a tough decision, but it's a good decision to have.
Okay. Well, that is all the time we have for this week. Thanks for tuning in. Tell us what you think about Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Should he spend the rest of the season with the Canadiens? Let us know in the comments section below. I'm Adam Susser, and I'll see you next Thursday.